Hi James, hi Geraldine. Can you
Hi,
all hear me?
Rachel.
Hello, Rachel.
Yep, I can
How are
hear you
you?
fine.
Yeah, good, thank you. You both okay?
Yes, thank you.
Not bad, thank you.
Good. Thanks for joining me today. Sorry we can't do it all back in the office still. We're doing everything remotely. Kind of becoming the new normal, doing everything online. So I just want to check, can you see the PowerPoint presentation?
Your screen, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, lovely. Right, so congratulations both on your recent promotions to managers.
Thank you.
Very well deserved.
Okay.
So what obviously you need to do now in a managerial role, you're now going to have to start taking part conducting appraisal meetings with your team, with your members of staff. The company directors would like you to do just to give you some training, obviously, so as you know what you're doing. Obviously how to conduct the sessions. Before we actually start the session, just want to go through a few bits and pieces, a few ground rules first. So can everyone just make sure that their phones are turned on silent? Don't want any disruptions if possible. If you do receive an urgent call that you quickly need to take, just quickly let me know, and if you need to go, completely understand. But just any disruptions, no pinging in the background. Everyone's equal, so we'd like to respect everyone's views, their opinions. Everyone's got the right to their own opinions, obviously, and everyone's got the right to talk. What I do ask, obviously, with Zoom, it starts cutting people out when they do start talking over the top of each other, so just be very mindful. No question's a silly question, so obviously feel free to ask any questions. Don't feel shy or embarrassed, anything like that. Obviously, all comfortable, we're all friends here, everyone knows each other. I just want to make sure that everyone's comfortable. Everyone's got a drink, everyone's happy to make a start.
Yeah.
Lovely. Before we go into it, I just want to check with yourselves. Obviously, I sent a little welcome pack out, obviously what time we were going to meet. Obviously make yourself comfortable. Anything else, if you wanted any pens or papers, obviously anything resource wise. But also just to know if there's anything in particular that you want to get out of this session.
From my side of things, I've got a team of 5 that I'm going to need to do appraisals for. So the simple question is, how is the best way to go about conducting an appraisal, prepping for it, getting it ready to, perform it and do what we need to do to get it right?
Okay, yeah, that's fine. We'll make sure we go over everything. Geraldine, anything particular for you?
Yes, I've never had to do an appraisal before, so I'd like to know how much paperwork's involved, what paperwork's involved. Yeah, just that maybe how much we're prepping for, like James said. Yeah.
That's absolutely fine. So the objectives that we've got for today's session. So just to understand the main importance of the reviews, why we're doing them, what everyone's going to get out of the session as well, to help you both feel comfortable actually conducting them. They can be a little bit of a daunting thing to do, but just as long as we can get the help obviously that you'd need for it. And again, so Geraldine, one of the objectives that we had got is looking at the paperwork needed, what forms you might need to fill in, what you need to do prep wise during and after. So here's like a whole process obviously for it as well. So that's fine. Well, we'll mention obviously what you want to get out of this as well. So if you've got any more questions, obviously throughout, we will have questions at the end as well, but if there's anything that you want to just obviously pop up, then let me know. But going straight in, so we'll look at the main points for a performance review. First one being the measurement. The whole point of that is assessing the individual's performance against what would have previously been agreed at their last appraisal. So you'd always set targets and objectives to meet, whether it's they might need to work to a higher target, any behavioural issues, any particular learning that they wanted to undertake. So you want to check obviously where they were from your last session to where you are now. feedback. So you want to discuss both past and future progress. So reflect on what's happened over the last period, discuss how you're looking to go forward, how are you going to do that. Positive reinforcement. So you praise what's been done well, offer constructive criticism about how they may need to improve. So don't go in straight away saying, you know, this is exactly what you need to do. You want to kind of discuss what needs to happen. Like I said, you don't want to go into hard saying you're not doing that right. It's not the way it's done. We need to gradually build this rapport up and agree on a way to go forward. An open exchange of views. So look at what's happened, how the appraisee can improve their performance, and it's a very open discussion. So you can have, you know, obviously you'll have your time to talk to your member of staff. They'll have their time to talk, and it's a complete agreement overall. So again, agreement. So both the appraisee and the appraiser, you need to agree on what objectives you're going to set out over the next coming period. You might set things in the short term. Say if the member of staff wants to do some particular training, but they want to get that done quite quick, you can look at that. What you're going to look to do, might set it over a few months, but it's just a complete agreement. Everyone's got to agree to work together to get obviously to where they need to be. Okay.
Yep.
For frequency with an appraisal, how often do you think that these formal appraisal meetings should take place? Any ideas?
12 monthly.
I would probably say that you want to do maybe a sit down monthly to look at targets, but an appraisal, a thorough and detailed one, maybe every 6 months, maybe even once a year. I'd probably say every 6 months is probably best.
And Jodie, you said 12 monthly, didn't you?
Yeah, well,
yeah.
that was just my thoughts. I don't know.
No, that's fine. No, like I say, it's like I said, no question is a silly question. Typically, you would do every 6 or 12 months. So you're both right. A formal sit down. I say formal. Sorry, you know, you want to make it as comfortable as possible for yourself and the member of staff. But typically you're going to set objectives and targets to work towards. But exactly like what James said, performance management will happen constantly. So you need to always work towards that, especially if there's any issues, any poor performance with a particular individual, you need to address it at the time. The one thing, excuse me, the one thing you don't want to do is have a 6 month review, leave it another 6 months until your next scheduled meeting, and then start raising up that there might have been some poor performance, something's not been done right, they're not meeting targets, sicknesses maybe, you know, for a member of staff to come into this meeting and being told then that there may be an issue, that they need to know what's going on and address it at the time. The best thing then is that during your appraisal, you can look back on that period and say, right, this is what we have done, we've addressed this, how do we think we're going to move going forwards? Does that make sense? Obviously, I'd like to say you were both
obviously
on anyway, so
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yep. Lovely. So bad experiences, there might have been poor performance. Have either of you ever had any experiences that you might have come out of an appraisal thinking, oh God, you know, that might not have gone as well as what you'd hoped it to have been? Or, I mean, for instance, I don't think so. Good, no, brilliant. I mean, I once had one years and years ago. Went into an appraisal, not long been at the job, still during a probation period. They were doing, like James said, kind of like a monthly sit down, like a mini interim one. Just the manager just didn't seem to know what was going on, and you know, I felt very demotivated coming out of it. They started raising issues that no one had mentioned to me before. I thought I was doing fine in the job. To be honest, I came out of it feeling really, really demotivated, really unhappy in the role that I was doing. Ultimately, I probably didn't stop there really that long. Like I say, it happens. I think both the fact that if you both had good experiences, then even better. Yeah. Kind of know what to expect anyway. You know how you want the meeting to go. But what we will do, we'll have a quick look. I've got a quick video for us to watch. So we'll just click on this, just make sure that everything's working, and obviously we can hear going forward. Bear with. You can still see the screens okay?
I'm just still seeing you.
Yeah, I'm just seeing the presentation still.
Yeah.
You might just need to share your other screen.
Yeah, I'm sorry, bear with me just a. You like to think that you're all getting used to everything, and then technology.
There we go.
Can you see the video now?
Yes.
Ah, yes, I
Yeah.
can.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lovely. Right. Let me know obviously if any issues, whether you can hear it.
Okay.
Just bring up the second.
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
I'm not seeing it properly, Rachel.
It's very jumpy, to be honest, right?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's not a smooth recording.
I can't actually hear anything either. Why don't you just put it to the beginning again?
How's that now?
No.
No.
It's just not loading, or?
It's jumping, so it's not playing it. It's like
It's jumping, it's like
screenshots of the video.
Yeah. Like it's jumping
Right.
from screen to screen, not a
Yeah.
smooth run and no sound.
No sound either.
No.
Pardon?
There's no sound coming from the video either.
No.
Just give this one more go. How's that?
$696,000. No.
No, it's still not working, Roach. I don't know whether you might want to just explain what the gist of the video is.
That's fine. That's fine. It's issues with technology. What I will do, I will send over copies as well at the end, so I can show you the video afterwards if you want to have a look. So basically, it's showing the good versus the bad of performance reviews. So, for instance, there is one manager who takes in a member of staff. He turns up at his desk when he's halfway through a call with a customer. Just turns up, said, right, okay, time for your performance review. Let's go and have the meeting. Member of staff sat there, obviously very unaware. I didn't know about this meeting. And he carries on to go and sit in a room with him. There's no paperwork. He's got no recollection of what they discussed in their previous appraisal. Coming around with a lot of paperwork, doesn't really know what's going on. They get quite argumentative. So there was a bit of, there was an issue that the manager raises in terms of poor performance. And again, the employee that he's appraising is completely unaware of this. He's like, this is the first time I've ever heard of it. Nothing's ever been mentioned. This isn't wrong. Gets a bit argumentative. Just shows a complete bad experience. How not to conduct the session. Whereas on the other hand, then shoots to a lady who's locks on a computer, gets ready for the meeting, heads over to the meeting room with the manager at the agreed time, as they've discussed. And this is a very formal chat. He's got all the paperwork there. It's all there on screen. What their objectives were, has she met them? how they're looking to go forward. Is there anything that she's looking to do otherwise? Any particular training? It's a real smooth conversation and just shows obviously just, again, how it should be. There's questions from both sides. I will send it over. I think it's a good thing to watch. Like I say, unfortunately, it's
obviously showing the importance of preparation.
Exactly.
Yes.
Preparation is more so than anything. The fact that, you know, with the members of staff, they don't even, if they don't even know that their appraisal is going to happen, they're not prepared. They don't know what they're going into. So it's all very much kind of how we'd look at preparation, how you want the employee to feel as well. Because as he walks, the employee that had the bad review, the bad experience, he walks out the office, flumps back in his chair, real demotivated, probably thinking, well, I wasted my time. He's got other things to do. He was interrupted during his work as well.
Yeah.
But I'll send a copy. What I'll do at the end, I'll send over a copy of the PowerPoint slides as well. So the link's on there. So we'll be able to watch, obviously, this slide, what went well, what didn't. So like I say, in a good session, everyone's got to be prepared, both managers and the employees. I mean, is there anything that you think else would be a bad form of performance management? Anything that you wouldn't expect to go into with a session?
I think it's important that whatever targets are set out, whatever ways you're going to measure how somebody performs, it's understood from both sides of the table. So the employee knows what they've got to do, and they also will know then if they're doing well, and if they're not, if they're struggling, they'll probably know that themselves. And I think if there's that mutual understanding, it offers the opportunity to have a discussion about things that are working well, things that are not working so well. And you want, like you say, you want to build a rapport that in times of difficulty, if there are problems, that employee can come to you, approach you, and you can overcome an issue. But yeah, I think it's important that they communicate to one another. You certainly don't want to deal with an employee who's afraid to talk, to offer their opinions.
Exactly that, yeah. And like we said, like Joan said, preparation's key. You need to be prepared with these kind of sessions. It's no good everyone sitting in there going, what are we discussing? What has gone wrong? What's not gone right? And you know, everyone needs to have you know, some preparation. Like I say, I'll send the video across over to you. It's a good little session. You really see either end of the scale. Just unfortunately, it may just be an internet connection thing. Oh, and about connections, I think we may have lost James. Oh, hang on.
Hello.
You still there, James?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I can hear you.
I've lost my video. Hold on one moment.
Rachel?
Yes.
I'd just like to say as well, it'd be nice to be able to have a manager that you can approach if you've got any problems, or if you don't understand. You shouldn't be scared to go to your manager or whoever's doing the appraisal in between meetings to say that you don't feel that you're getting the help that you should need, or the guidance.
Yeah, if you think, like I say, you shouldn't. The appraisals are a really good time to lay things out on the table, set your new targets, but this is why you need to keep a track of what's going on in between. So like I said, if there's like I say, if it says poor performance, if the employee feels it themselves, then they need to, like I say, your roles now as managers with your promotions, you want to make yourself approachable. You really want to have a good rapport with your staff. Build it up that way. There, exactly what you said. Yeah. So we'll move on to
now? Yeah.
Yes, you are. Yeah, must have just been a video glitch. Just we're talking about technology. Right, so conducting the meeting, exactly what we said, preparation is key. So you want to make sure that everything's planned with more than enough time. You don't want it to feel rushed. You you want to look back at what the previous, like I said, the previous objectives were. How is the appraisee working towards those? Have they met all their targets since? Was the time frame right? Really establish a report at the start of the appraisal, just kind of break that ice, make your employee feel very comfortable when they go in. You don't want to sit right in and go, right, okay, let's hit the ball running. If it's on a Friday, ask how they're, what they've got planned for the weekend. Just completely make them feel comfortable, because it can be a bit of a nerve-wracking experience. Sure, like I say, with you, but you both perhaps have been into appraisals before and have felt a bit daunted going in. Active listening, really good to practice that as you're going forward, but just make sure that you'll show that you're paying attention to when the appraisee's talking, just nodding along, making green noises, just saying, yeah, I understand. You don't want to do all the talking through the appraisal. It's very much got to be a shared session. They need to open up and set their targets as well, and make, like Geraldine said, they want to be able to approach your manager and obviously say, I don't feel that I'm getting to the right levels that I should be. What can we do to put it right? Make sure they know that you're understanding as well. Ask open questions. It will really get the most out of the member of staff. So don't ask, just, are you happy with the targets that we've set? For them just to say yes or no. Ask them things, how do you feel about your targets? How do you feel about your recent performance? Get them to really elaborate, get them talking about their performance, how they have developed and how they're working towards their targets, and get a proper discussion actually going between the two of you. Be able to provide feedback. So you want to be really open, but be specific with your feedback. Don't just be very vague, saying, no, I think you ought to be doing this. Be very specific. If there's a certain area that they need to work on, discuss it. Set your objectives. So everything's got to be agreed between the two of you. So you might want to address and say, right, okay, we might have a KPI that you perhaps might not just be reaching, but we'll set some objectives and maybe we'll help you work towards it, whether it's you might have for things with like buddy training, extra support, extra training. So it's a whole session really to lay everything kind of on the table with your staff and get them to know really how they're feeling. And you really want to make sure that you balance out any negative points with positives. Like we said, they don't want it to be a whole negative thing going, right, you've not met the targets, you've been off from work, you've done this, you've done that. The whole point that the appraisee wants to feel, come out of it, feel like it's gone well. So don't, if there's a negative, you just try to, focus on what they are doing right as well. So when you've done your appraisal, when they are actually conducted in the right way, so a good effective appraisal meeting, it's going to really help boost employee engagement, their morale. They're going to come out feeling happy with what's been discussed, happy with how they're going to move forward. You really don't want to come out feeling demotivated as if, oh, what's the point? When they get the best out of their appraisal and the objectives are agreed, and their next targets are fully agreeable, they're happy with them, it's going to help them move along and really work towards their next targets, make them feel a lot happier with their rewards as well. And everyone knows where they stand as well. So you as a manager know what you've set for your members of staff, how they're going to move forwards, how they're going to do that, in what way are we going to implement it, and they know obviously how they're going to move forward as well. Is that all making sense so far?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, very much so.
The paperwork, Geraldine, your main your main target for the session. So you can always provide with your employee with a self-appraisal form. They're not compulsory for members of staff to fill in. It's completely up to them. But when you start to arrange, obviously in plenty of time, when your next session is going to be, hand out your self-appraisal form, send that to them. I've actually got some templates for these as well that I can send you for you to use. So it would be very handy. Just things that they might want to jot down, what they want to discuss going forwards as well. So it's something for them to get prepped before going in. You yourselves, you'll need to have their previous completed performance review form so that you can compare what the objectives were that were set, and obviously compare that to where they are now. Have they met them? All documents to copies needed, so things like their targets, their monthly KPIs, anything that's going to help you discuss their performance. So Geraldine, being in sales, that your staff sale targets, you might want to run off their KPIs each month for the last few months and say, right, okay, if they've hit the targets, you can easily see what they've done, how they've done it, if they're on track, and obviously if unfortunately if there might be something that they do need to work on going forward as well. And the performance review form, so that's the form that you'll have afterwards. You'll fill in all the notes, what's been discussed during the session. You'll make notes during the session as well. But you'll put everything into writing. You'll also list the next set of objectives and targets that have been agreed with yourself and your member of staff. And this also needs to be signed. So you'd sign it, you'd then send it to the member of staff you had the appraisal with. They'll read through, as long as they're happy with everything, they'll sign it and send that back to you as well. And then that's what we'll document, and then we'll store ready then for your next session as well. Does that clarify a few things, Geraldine? Are you happier?
Yes, very much so.
I think it'd be good to have a copy of the self-appraisal form. Just like
I say, yeah, we've got the templates. So
right now, yeah.
definitely, I've got the templates all ready to go, so I can get those sent across to you, and work from those. Like I say, the self-appraisal form for your staff, compulsory. I'd still always hand it out. It's just not compulsory for them to fill in if they don't want to. The one thing that is compulsory is the performance review form itself. That's what you'd fill in. So I'll get that over. I've got the forms. We'll send you the copies so you know what it is that you're working from. So what have we learned from today's session? You should now feel that you've got the knowledge to plan and conduct an appraisal. You know the prep that needs to go in place. Might help know how not to handle the situation. Like I say, we'll send you the video, but we know that you don't want to turn up at your staff's desk and say, right, come on, it's time for your session, it's time for your appraisal meeting, when they don't know about it. It's just as important for your member of staff to prepare for the meeting as it is for you to prepare. And hopefully then you'll understand, what the paperwork is involved now with the process, and I'll send you all copies of the forms that we've got as well. So how do you all feel about the session? Have you got any further questions that you might want to ask?
No, it's good. I've learned a lot. Thank you. Just a question that sprung to mind. Obviously, if you've got an employee where they're not hitting their targets, they're poorly performed, of course you talk about that. But what about the opposite way? You might have a member of staff who's excelling in what they're doing. They're thrashing all their targets, they're doing superbly well. Would you want to sort of wait every 6 months to have an appraisal with them, or do you think maybe they could deserve a reward for their hard efforts and success, and maybe do it a bit sooner? What do you think?
Yes, definitely. So high performance members of staff are really quite just as important as poor performers. You want to make sure that their work has been acknowledged. So definitely rewards that are in place. We can look at what reward management we've got in place for staff. Any bonuses that they might hit, if they might receive if they're hitting their targets. But it's really important just to let them know how much they're on track, how well they're doing. You don't want a high performer to slip if they feel they're not getting acknowledged for the work that they're doing, and gradually slip them into a poor performer.
Yes.
So definitely still keep the motivation going, let them know how they're getting on. Like I say, throughout, between each month, perhaps have a sit down with them as a informal, how are you getting on, are you happy? But definitely, keep the conversations with them going, and then still definitely praise them once your review meeting comes up, every 6 months or so.
Okay, great.
Yep, lovely. Geraldine, are you happy with everything?
Yeah, I'm happy with everything. Yeah, you've answered all my questions about the paperwork. That was my main concern. Yeah, as you said, it is important both ways to acknowledge if they're poor performers, you need to help them to get there. If they're good performers, you need to help them to stay there.
Yeah.
So I understand all that now, yeah.
Yep, brilliant. So thank you both very much for your time. Really appreciate it, taking time out your busy schedules. Apologies about the video, obviously just the link's not working. But like I say, I'll send over all your forms for the appraisal forms. I'll send you a copy of the slides. It's got the link to the video. It's definitely still worth you having a little watch over just to see what to do and what not to do. I will also send over an evaluation form to you both, when you've got 5 minutes, if you can have a little fill-in of it. Let me know obviously how I'm doing as well, a little appraisal for me. And like I say, just a little feedback on what you've learned, how you can apply that then into your role going forwards. But yeah, I really appreciate it just once you've got 5-10 minutes, if you can fill that in and send it back to me.
Lovely.
Okay,
Thanks
no
for the
problem.
presentation.
Lovely. No, thank you both very much for your time. And
Thank you. Informative.
brilliant. I'll get those over to you later on today. But lovely, and I'll see you both soon, hopefully.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Thank you.
All right, thanks
Cheers.
ever so
Bye.
much.
Bye. Thanks very much.